Happy Christmas, bitches! Hello and welcome back to the last episode before we break for Christmas. I am actually obviously recording this a little bit in advance, not too far in advance, and I'm starting to get the Christmas feels. I'm like, when do you start listening to Christmas music, watching movies and stuff? I think I'm going to wait until December because over here in Bali, like, I don't know, you just don't really get it's not winter, you know, so you don't get the winter vibes. You don't ease into it at all until like the Christmas lights are up, and there's no Christmas lights up at all. I know at home it does be like end of November, isn't it, when the Christmas lights are on? So they don't really go up until like second half of December here. So, and I'm not even going to be in Bali, so I'm kind of just getting myself in the Christmas feels while I'm here. I even put my red top on for anyone that's watching. But I'm going to talk about Christmas today because just a quick solo episode, just because I know this can be such a distressing time of year, very triggering time of year, a year where people can lose their shit, lose themselves, feel a little bit disconnected, feel overwhelmed, their body image is affected. There's such a justification of hitting the fuck up button at Christmas, and relationship with food, general health just going out the window, and there's a lot of guilt around that, a lot of shame around that, a lot of drink involved, and a lot of fear involved. So I'm going to talk you through a little bit on how to navigate that, because I know for me that was a very, very triggering time of year for me in the past. I was just reflecting on that earlier this week, and looking back at pictures that I would have shared. I think 2019 was the first year that I felt like, wow, I can actually look back and see how far that I've come. And it would have been the first Christmas where I fully felt safe in myself, fully felt not triggered by the food around me, fully felt connected to myself, my hunger and fullness, my appetite regulation. I was able to eat mindfully. I was able to practice unconditional permission to eat. I was able to not hit the fuck up button, not experience emotional eating, not experience binge eating. So yeah, it was a little bit of an achievement, a little bit of a proud moment for me. And it's funny, when I look back at the picture, I did it like a before and after picture. And what was really important was, although you'd look at that picture and think it was about weight loss, so beforehand, when I was binge eating, when my body was in extreme levels of distress and inflammation, I did have more weight on me then as well. No, I definitely did, but I also looked a lot bigger because I was a lot puffier, a lot more swollen, with a lot more water retention from the increased cortisol. Like, my face didn't look like my face, and I think I've mentioned on this before, but like my friends in Bali, whenever I show them pictures, I had dark hair as well, but when I had the dark hair, more weight on me, extremely distressed. I just don't look like me. I just don't look like the version of me that I am today. And so obviously that's led me to where I am, to what I'm really passionate about, of helping people understand that, one, it isn't about weight. Obviously, health at every size is important, but it is also important to recognise that if you are in a bigger body or have excess inflammatory body fat, that can be affecting your hormones, your health, whatever it is. That is something to take a look at. But just like, it wasn't a before and after picture based on my weight. It was a before and after picture based on my mental transition, you know, and the physical transition, how I was feeling, which is so important. And that's what's really can creep up this time of year, is people want to look good. Okay, we go on nights out and we fear that we don't look good. The negative self-talk pops up, you know, all these situations. And it's not just ourselves, we're surrounded by it. People projecting as well, family members, people in offices. Dieting is massive the lead up to Christmas, and people restrict, and then of course they hit the big red fuck it button at Christmas, and it just goes out the window. It's like 2 weeks. Like, I remember this, I've done this for years and years and years. 2 weeks of, well, actually, if you even go into the lead up to it, your mum's buying stuff on special offer. She's buying stuff on special offer. She's getting the food prepped. She's starting to buy selection boxes, Lindt chocolates. She's starting to buy things like cake for the trifle, ingredients for the stuffing, sausage rolls, all those kind of things that you're not allowed to have until Christmas. Okay, who else's family deals with this? You're not allowed to have that till Christmas. Okay, obviously that is because it's purchased with the intention of enjoying over the Christmas. But through the years, we were able to kind of challenge that, and obviously it became more of a December thing, so it became less of a restrictive thing or a scarcity mindset, and more of a let's enjoy this over a gradual period of time, so that the typical 2 weeks of Christmas, you finish work the Friday before Christmas or a few days before Christmas, whenever it is, then you go to the pub, you celebrate, you go on your work nights out, Christmas parties, boozy brunches with the gals, and you completely hit that fuck up button because you're celebrating the end of the year. You know, it is a time of year that's really, really important and really enjoyable, and you're with friends and family, and you know, you're finished work, you're celebrating getting through another fucking year, which fucking hell, we all deserve after getting through another year. I saw a funny meme and it was literally like, I feel like since 2020 it has just been roller coaster after roller coaster, and there's like little memes of this girl going around a roller coaster and her face, you know that face, she just is in complete shock and she's like, oh, bro, what the fuck is going on? So yeah, it is an enjoyable time of the year, but it's important that we understand that we can navigate that, and it's a real time where, because everyone else is doing it, we get more disconnected from ourselves and we make decisions based on what other people are doing. And that's fine. We want to fit into our environment. We want to, you know, I suppose I saw another funny meme and it was like that friend that you always ring to justify your decisions, your terrible decisions, because you know she did the same thing. I had a particular friend in mind when I read that, but you know, we do want to get validation from each other, and you know, it is kind of enjoyable. It is enjoyable to have that relaxation of responsibilities, of just not thinking about shit for once. However, when you practice intuitive eating properly, when you practice like a health first approach with your diet, your lifestyle, your training, your nutrition, same as diet, I always say that, but anyways, you know, it doesn't feel like this chore. It doesn't feel like this big heavy thing you have to do. It feels like this thing that you're doing for yourself that you get to do and you enjoy it. And it doesn't, like, you move away with time, like especially in my coaching, you move away from the all or nothing mindset where you do not practice these extremes. You don't be good during the week and then hit the fuck up button on the weekend, or treat yourself on the weekend and then punish yourself during the week. And this is what Christmas is, these 2 weeks, and then afterwards, you know, January is coming, you know, diet culture, diet season is coming, so you're going to have to get rid of all the food, and you're also going to feel like shit because afterwards, after hitting the fuck up button for so long, after not eating from vegetables, after not getting out for fresh air, after being so dehydrated from all the baby Guinness shots that you're going to have, you're going to feel like shit, okay? And I'm not going to say that there's not going to be Christmas Eve, Christmas Day and Stephen's Day where I'm not going to indulge. I'm not going to really, probably not going to keep much track of how much water I'm drinking because it's going to be replaced by baby Guinness shots. You know, I'm normal, okay? At the end of the day, I've really practiced inclusivity with my coaching, and like, if you can take one thing from this is today is to get rid of the all or nothing mindset and to practice being inclusive as possible over the Christmas season. So what does that look like with your diet? Like I said, it looks like not having this build up to Christmas and viewing Christmas as some separate thing. You know, you can have sausage rolls any time of the year, you can have pudding any time of the year, you can have chocolate anytime, like you can have all these things, you can include these, incorporate these things in your diet, and not have this restriction that comes afterwards, not have this guilt that comes afterwards. So that is something that is to be aware of. So maybe this is the first time that you're aware of this ahead of the Christmas season, okay? Your first year of experiencing this, of having this new awareness, this new wisdom, this new knowledge, and to not put pressure on yourself to have this be the year that things change, things go differently, because those expectations on yourself, one, not necessary, but two, having those expectations on yourself may actually lead you to feeling worse about yourself because you wanted it to go a certain way and it didn't. And it's not to think about the whole Christmas period, it's to take it moment by moment, step by step, day by day, meal by meal, okay? So that's what's really important, not skipping your main meals, okay? Typical lead up to a social occasion, you know, like I said, the boozy brunches, the work parties, the family dinners, whatever it is that you're doing, 12 pubs, Jesus Christ, even thinking about that. You know, these things that you do over the Christmas period, we want to look good, okay? And what I really try to emphasize with people year round is these memories that you make, these occasions that you celebrate, they're meant to be about how you feel, okay? So if you don't feel good in a dress that you want to look good in, change the fucking dress, okay? If you don't feel good the way your hair is that day, but you want it to look, change it. Change it, change it, change it. Life is too short to spend your night self-conscious, thinking about what you're wearing, thinking about what you're doing, thinking about what you look like in pictures, okay? It's really important that you don't entertain that inner critic as well. If you don't feel good, okay, and that can be down to, like I said, the dehydration, the lack of sleep, the doing too much of a Christmas, the lack of boundaries, not knowing when to say no. All of these things can accumulate. Obviously, if your digestion is a bit sluggish because you're slacking on the fibre of a Christmas, really common, or you're binge eating or emotional eating, you know, all of these things can build up to kind of contribute to how you're feeling, which isn't your best self, isn't that great, okay? You might not have as much energy as well. And this is the crucial time where that inner critic, that inner bitch, that negative self-talk will creep up, okay? So awareness is key. Awareness of it, and giving yourself permission to not feed into it and to release, okay? I literally have a tattoo on my wrist that says release baby girl, and it really, really helped me in lots of different situations, not necessarily to my relationship with food, because I got it this year at a point where it wasn't really affecting me for like 2 years at this point. God, I can't even count, it's 2022. No, that would have been 3 years. But, you know, this is where you may want to control, okay, because you feel out of control, because you feel uncomfortable. You may want to control through some form of restriction, which could be with body checking, body image, food, relationship with food, skipping meals, etc., okay? So it's important to remember that when you're going on these nights, when you're creating these memories with people in your life, you're meant to be feeling good, okay? And what's important is to flip the script, okay? If you're feeling that you're not so great in yourself, you're not so comfortable in your skin, you're not so comfortable in what you're wearing, you're feeling sluggish, lack of energy, flip the script, okay? If your friend was feeling like that, what would you say to her? You'd be like, oh, would you fuck off? I'm here to actually spend time with you and make memories with you, catch up with you, spend this time to be present with you, laugh with you, dance with you, okay? So you have to think about that with yourself, with compassion, of course. So tell yourself to shut the fuck up with compassion. But it is really important to call yourself on your shit. Don't entertain that voice and understand that voice is not you. Be an observer of that voice and detach. That's not the real you. That's, call her something else, call her Sheila, call her Jacinta, call her Karen, whatever you want to call her, but detach and know that that's not the real you, okay? You have the choice in any moment in time to separate yourself from that voice. And then when it comes on to kind of like projection and stuff like that, this is a very important piece or influence or driver at Christmas with how we look, and like families wanting to look their best, and like whether it's your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents, your neighbours, whatever it is, you know, there's the older generation, our generation a little bit as well, but the older generation have grown up with this. They've grown up with the dieting magazines, the yo-yo dieting, the extreme diets, and they will project, okay, but their projection is not actually a reflection of you. It's their own insecurities that they feel the need to vocalize. So if they comment on your body, if they comment on your weight, your body shape, what you're wearing, what you look like, even your job, what you're doing with your life, just know that it's probably their way of caring, their fucked up way of caring, their projections, and you don't have to entertain that. You can politely decline, respectfully say fuck off, okay? And that's what's important with boundaries, okay? We always don't want to put a boundary in place because we fear how the other person's going to receive it, or we fear about the other person's needs and their emotions in the situation, or they're going to feel, you know, you're being too much, you just don't have to entertain that. First and foremost, you protect yourself, you put those boundaries in place, and you understand that those conversations are not something you want to engage in. There's a really good book called How to Be Selfish. I'm not sure her full name, Michelle Elman, I want to say, but could be butchering that. Should have looked it up beforehand, but this is what happens when you go with the flow on your podcast. But really good book. It goes through different examples of boundaries. I know there's another one on, it's called something with selfish as well, and the life-changing magic of not giving a fuck, and basically in that book she talks about like how we've got limited fucks in our day, limited energy, limited capacity to cope, you could translate that to, and you need to reserve that for shit that actually matters in your life. You know, you don't need to entertain these conversations at the dinner table just because it's polite, just because you haven't seen this family member in a long time, or you know, whoever it is in a work situation. You can navigate that topic. You can say that this is not something that I want to deal with right now. Thanks a million. But just can we move on the conversation? And like, that's it. That's a full stop. That's a sentence. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to justify it, and you can move on. Okay. Next up, we have hangovers. I need to address the inevitable. And what's really interesting is how I've learned so much more about like how hangovers affect clients' relationship with food and emotional eating and their hormones and digestion through their post-weekend check-in. Okay, so 2 check-ins per week. One's towards the second half of the week and one's after the weekend. And sometimes they can be very different moods. Of course, it's a Monday or a Tuesday versus a Thursday or a Friday. But it's really powerful because I get to see, you know, the weekday could look very different versus the weekend. And we really get to have a look at everything in a kind of a zoomed out approach or a bigger picture, a holistic approach, and see what is influencing. Just to give an example. So one of my clients would have experienced emotional eating and would have experienced chronic constipation, I think it was. And we were trying to really figure out what it was that was influencing it. Obviously, there was multiple factors, but kind of say the last factor, after we managed the basics, after we looked at, I'm not going to go through everything today. If you haven't listened to my IBS and digestion podcast, I think it's number 3. Maybe not, but go back and have a listen to that. Even if you don't have IBS, there's lots you'll learn about digestion. But one of the last things that we kind of realised was how her hangover weekends went. So she would have typically, and this is actually quite a good few of my clients, and would have been me in the past as well. If you don't eat food the next day after your hangover, okay, just picture this. You're home at 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever time, no judgment here, and you sleep then until about 12 o'clock. You stay in bed for another hour or two because you've got the fear, okay, because you feel like shit, because you can't get up, because you're feeling sorry for yourself, because you're low on energy, because maybe you skipped food the night before. And what happens is the longer you stay in bed, the worse it gets. The more your blood sugars are going to drop, the less energy you're going to have, the more you're going to sit in your fields and feel like shit. Get your arse up out of bed the next day. You don't have to get up at fucking 6 a.m. or 9 a.m. or whatever it is. Just get out of bed, okay? Get yourself out in fresh air if you can, even if that's sitting out your back garden for 2 minutes. Just get some fresh air, open the bloody curtains, don't sit in a hole, okay? Don't sit in your fields. I've done that for years and years and years. Literally, I would spend the whole day in bed the next day because I had the fear, or because I basically didn't want to get out of bed and face the world because I had no energy. If you can eat the next day, that can help. What we're actually finding, which was really interesting, was that she felt extreme nausea and she was vomiting sometimes after the hangovers. And what we found was it was because she was getting herself to such a low level of energy. And I suppose like it's important to mention that alcohol is toxic, okay? There is toxins running around your system, and you need to be able to support the liver, support digestion, bring back up your blood sugars, and really support your health from a holistic standpoint. Now, there's so much I should go into about alcohol there, but that's a topic for another day. But just to think about the result of when we got her to eat a breakfast the next day, massive improvements, massive knock-on effects with how she felt, massive knock-on impacts with her digestion, with her hormones then as well, and lo and behold, surprise, surprise, she stopped emotional eating, okay? Because it wasn't just the emotions, we obviously resolved that, but it was the physiological hunger that she felt because she was fucking starving, okay? So really important to try and get yourself to have food the next day. Try to resolve with your main meals, your 3 main meals, and don't, for the love of fuck, please don't skip meals before your night out, okay? You'll see a lot of stuff on social media. It's like, bank your calories, save your calories, just eat protein and vegetable before you go out on the night out. Do not go on a night out if you're hungry. 1, you're going to be absolutely fucked. You're going to be intoxicated. And 2, you're most likely to come home hungry and order pizza, a Big Mac, and whatever else in between, because you're going to be that starving at that point in time. You know, eating food after night out is fine, okay? But if you're doing it every single time and you're essentially binging with your night out, you're probably fucking starving, okay? You can actually lower the severity of that and the likelihood of it as well if you actually fuel yourself before that night out. Now, you might be 1-2-stepping, dancing your arse off, and you do need that fuel at the end of the day. But if it is becoming something that is a source of distress, it is escalating to a binge, it is something to look into as well. The next thing with hangovers is the hydration, okay? Drink your fucking water. Such a basic thing that we don't do. And it took me years to do it, I'm not gonna lie. I think, to be honest, when it wasn't until I really moved to hot countries that I really enforced it, because I was kind of afraid that I would, you know, get dizzy and faint the next day and be so dehydrated that it was really, really bad for me with the heat. Excuse me. But now I've gotten into a really good habit of making sure I drink a good bit of water before I go out. So typically when you get ready for a night out, okay, people, especially over Christmas, we can be spending hours getting ready because we've got that luxury. And what happens is you stop eating food after your breakfast or your lunch, okay? We just forget about dinner. Maybe you go out for a meal, but there's typically some meal skipped in between because you're spending time getting ready. You typically don't drink as much water during the day because you might be having a little Prosecco or a glass of vino before you go out. You know, these little things that we just need to be aware of, that are not to be demonized, but it's to look at what they're replacing or what's missing in their place. So try your best to have, I'm not going to say that I take a glass of water in between every drink, because I don't, because I'd be spending my whole night pissing on the toilet, you know, but I try my best to have a glass of water every so often. And if I'm going out for a meal, I'll have a drink at the start of my meal, but I won't drink alcohol with my meal. I'll drink water then. I'll take that as an opportunity to drink a glass of water. I'll drink water before I go to bed as well. Like, sober you can do a favour for drunk you if you leave a bottle of water or a pint of water beside your bed before you go to sleep, okay? Try, and you know, you could even be that person that when you're getting to your point of mindfulness, your point of satisfaction with your alcohol, you could switch to water, okay? I know it's a foreign concept to people, especially Irish people, but there is actually the ability to stop and be mindful with your drinking and slow it down, okay? Be conscious of it being your crutch, be conscious of it being your anxiety, your way to cope, I suppose, with social anxiety. Slow it down, like with mindful eating, like with emotional eating. Slow your fucking body down, regulate, take a few deep breaths, ground yourself, okay? Something I would have suffered with for years as well, and maybe that's a topic for another day. Binge drinking, like really binge drinking as a way to cope. But yeah, anyways, drink your water. Rehydration salts are really beneficial and really important. If you can drink like Diurolite, Oars, in Bali, Pocari Sweat, you know, these kind of drinks that would have sodium, potassium, a slight bit of sugar for the glucose, can really enhance the absorption and the rehydration process, okay? So if you have one of those before and after you drink, that can really lower the levels of dehydration and support the hangover as well. And like, it's important to know that if you are getting overwhelmed, if you are getting anxiety, if you're stressed and going on all of these nights out, like my social occasion used to be fucking packed at Christmas. From like the last week or even the second last week in November, 6 fucking weeks of 3 nights out a week, maybe even a little bit midweek over the Christmas 2 weeks off. Like, hello bitch, how do you think that was going to be okay? But it's so common, it's so accepted. We all want to fit in this group of friends, this group of friends, this group of friends, this work occasion, this blah blah blah. And don't get me wrong, it's great to make memories, but check in with yourself. Do you have the capacity to do this? Like, a lot of people are burnt out at the minute. Remember what we've just gone through the last 2 years, okay? I won't say the word, but we're experiencing like a collective burnout, collective distress. There's a lot of other things that are reducing our capacity and tolerance to cope, okay? So maybe a few years ago you were able to do this. Maybe you've grown up a little bit more, and like myself, I'm like, I just can't hack this out anymore and I'm okay with that. But it's really about picking what will work for you, not having too many things crammed back to back, and being okay with saying no, or showing up for an hour or two, not drinking, having 1 or 2 and leaving. It is possible. It is possible. From someone who was like severely anxious on most nights I went out, like I said, coping with alcohol, getting blackout drunk on a regular basis, I actually can go out on a night out now and have 1 or 2. Shock. Didn't think it was ever possible. Thought it was pointless. Thought people that did that were fucking boring. But, you know, I don't hate myself the next day. And this will lead on to obviously how you feel in yourself, which can feed into your relationship with food and all that stuff as well. Give yourself permission this Christmas to do the basics, okay? Remember that this is not a normal time period. It is temporary. But just don't have it become this distressful situation where you become overwhelmed. That will lead to you to hitting that fuck up button, okay? Come back to basics. Come back to drinking your water, 3 main meals, trying to get some sleep in between the nights out, not entertaining any conversations that don't serve you, and not putting so much pressure on yourself to look a certain way. Because remember, you don't go on nights out with people or make memories with people or invite them to places because of how they look. You don't invite them to get in a picture with you to make you look good. Like, you don't do that at all. You're there for their character, you're there for how they make you laugh, for their energy, and that's what people think of you as well. So the next time that inner critic pops her head up, or his or her head up, and says the state of that picture, don't entertain it. That's a form of body checking, by the way. If you're looking at your pictures and you're really honing in on every single angle, like, an important thing to remember is when you take a picture of the sunset or the sky and the moon, anything like that, you want to capture the beauty that you see through your own eyes. It doesn't capture it because we have different perspectives. There's different lenses, there's different distortions with the camera. You have to think about that for yourself, okay? If you catch yourself looking at pictures immediately afterwards, deleting them, just stop it. Just don't do that. Maybe it's something that you need to practice, is kind of resistance to that and kind of a restraint. And like, what I always find now is I don't look at the pictures really afterwards. I like, they're fine. There'll be one to look at. I might look at them immediately and be like, okay, I really love that picture. And then 2 weeks later, I'd actually be like, oh, that other picture that I didn't think was that nice is really nice now. It's really candid. It's really whatever. Because sometimes your brain can be distorted if you're not feeling so good in yourself, and that can spill out onto your pictures as well. Okay. So yeah, I'm unsure whether to announce this, but I'm really excited because I've been working really hard behind the scenes, obviously getting loads of podcast episodes done, doing in-person women's circles, online women's circles for my gorge clients, my regular client check-ins, workshops, everything. That I didn't know if I'd get this done before the end of the year, but I feel like I have a period of like rest now, and kind of the 4 weeks after in Bali, that I am going to get my relationship with food course launched. I'm buzzing. I'm really, really excited. I'm aiming for the new year. I'm aiming for January. Part of me thinks launch it now and fucking get it over the line, but I'm not going to put that pressure on myself. I've learned time and time again that when things feel right for me, they feel right for me. So like, I started this course 1.5 years ago, 1.5 years in the making, and I stopped and started it a few times, come away from it and come back to it. And at the start, I was beating myself up, and I was like, I have a course that I can release to the world, help so many more people. And I was wondering if it was like an element of perfectionism, because obviously that's something that I struggled with in the past, and I've recovered, but she pops up every so often. But what I've grown to understand and really acknowledged and respected is that there's parts of me that I have healed that I can now bring into this. Doing my clinical trauma course, which I've now completed, qualified in, and I've already purchased more courses to do to explore things from addiction, sexual trauma, and eating disorders as well. So I'm very excited to continue to develop that side of things, and that has allowed me to bring in nervous system regulation into this course. It has allowed me to bring in body image, self-love, as well as mindful eating, as well as understanding what foods to eat, understanding what myths we need to unlearn. So yeah, I'm really, really fucking excited. I'm also going to bring a meditation into it. There's going to be some bonuses. Like, 1.5 years in the making, and the amount of experience that I have brought from clients as well. Like, every single client check-in, I take notes just so I can respond to them and have like the utmost attention, and really, really work through everything that they are, and really give the most specific advice on everything that they're working through. We're working through as a team. So, I have accumulated so much knowledge as well, so much anecdotal knowledge, so much real life human experience, as well as the research, and I am just so excited to bring this baby to life. So yeah, that is a little teaser. Hopefully in the new year, maybe end of January, because I have to decide what the fuck I'm doing with my life. So yeah, just thought I would drop that little announcement, because obviously, as you can see in this episode, there is so much to do with the mental health side of things. There's so much to do with stress. There's so much to do with you know, your relationship with food, your relationship with your body, that can affect your fucking Christmas memories. Think about what it can affect in the rest of your life. Investing in my relationship with food from a money, time, energy perspective has transformed my fucking life. Coming from a place of eating disorder, years at war with myself, at war with my body, I now like, do you know that meme that's going around, or that TikTok or fucking trend, whatever, that's going around at the minute, and it's like you're thinking about whatever it is that you're thinking about. So for example, me would be like, I hope this course is really good, I hope this course is perfect, I hope I cover every single possible example or situation that could pop up for a person with a relationship with food and body issues. And it's kind of like that trend that it goes back to, I'm getting a bit emotional saying this, what the fuck, but it's going back to that little girl version of you that's like, oh my god, we have a course, oh my god, what the hell, did not see this coming. But it's like the little girl version of you that just looks back and says, oh my god, we have a course, we've got through an eating disorder. Oh my god, sorry, I did not know I was going to cry. I did not know I was going to cry. I'm literally thinking of little me. And just how out of control and how lost I felt for years, and knowing how to regulate my body in these situations. But, you know, years spent at war with myself, and just to think about, I'm always striving, I'm always trying to give the best to you gals and guys and whoever's listening. But for me, when I actually pause and take a step back, I'm like, holy fuck, look at that journey, look at that transition. And I really made this with not only myself in mind, but my clients in mind. I see their everyday struggles, and to just be, oh my fucking god, sorry guys, it's not even my time of the month, but to just think of who this course is for. And I'm obviously going to share so much more about this. If you want to join my mailing list, you can click through the link in my bio. I'll be sharing so much about that with the launch details. It's an 8-week course. You know, all the info that you're going to need is going to be through my email list and my Instagram. So yeah, I'm so excited. Oh god, Jesus Christ. Okay, let's come back to the pod. But basically, I hope you have an amazing Christmas. I hope you choose compassion this Christmas, okay? I hope you just give yourself permission to release those thoughts. I hope you give yourself permission to just be in the memories. Fucking hell. Okay. I hope you just really celebrate. You know, we have to remember that only 2 years ago we didn't have Christmas. Okay, last year, sorry, we didn't have Christmas. It's a special time of the year. It's obviously a very difficult time of the year. I didn't acknowledge, I suppose, how family situations are all they're kind of portrayed to be on social media. It can be a very distressing time of year for people. We've lost loved ones along the way this year as well. So, you know, I get so emotional when I think about the end of the year. I really do. Another year we've gone through. Another year of growth, pain, laughing, dancing, releasing, healing. And, you know, it doesn't mean that Christmas is any different. It doesn't mean that Christmas is this fucking amazing time of year for everyone. Like I mentioned, it hadn't always been for me. It was a really distressing, horrible time for me. So, yeah, I'm going to close it there because I'm just going to keep fucking crying. But I hope you all have an amazing Christmas. I'll see you all back. I think the first week of January we'll be launching the next episode. If anyone needs any further support over Christmas, I'll still be working away. And I'll still be having clients that I take on over the Christmas. Like I said, this can be a pivotal time for you. If you need that support, don't hesitate to reach out either through my contact form in my website or DMs in my Instagram. So yeah, wish you all the very best Christmas. I wish you all a very happy Christmas and a happy New Year. And I just want to say also, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting me this year. Oh God. You'd swear I was writing a fucking award speech here, or reading out an award speech. Fucking is like my Oscar or something. But yeah, anyways, I'm an emotional bitch. That's who I am. Thank you all. Love you all. Your support did not go unnoticed this year. It's been a fucking year, and I will see you all in 2023. Bye.